9 million. That is how many plug-in hybrids and EVs BYD has sold globally, which makes it the world's largest EV maker. And while it has a small footprint in India, it did start out with the E6 a couple of years back, which brings us to this, the eMAX 7, which replaces the E6 and promises to be a whole lot more. What makes the eMAX 7 so important is that unlike the E6, which was a 2-row 5-seater essentially, this is a 3-row 6 or 7-seater electric car, which puts it smack dab in the middle of India's favorite Toyota high-cross territory. Now, of course, the BYD has its work cut out to carve a niche out for itself in a market which hasn't looked past the Innova since its debut 2 decades ago. BYD has made no fuss about giving the eMAX 7 SUV-ish traits or making it like a crossover. It is an MPV, it looks like one. It is 4,710 mm long, has a wheelbase of 2,800 mm, while it stands 1,690 mm tall with a width of 1,810 mm, which makes it marginally smaller than the high-cross but bigger than the older E6.
At the front, you get a droopy nose which merges into a chrome strip flanked by LED headlamps, which makes up what BYD calls the dragon face. The lower section has a few aerodynamic bits such as a grille to let air inside as well as scoops which channel air to the front tires. Coming over to the sides, the eMAX has really strong character lines, especially the shoulder line, which gives it some muscle and runs all the way to the rear. The glass house is bordered by a chrome garnish, giving it that added premiumness, while the alloys are 17 inches and look really good. At the rear, the eMAX has a wide stylish LED tail lamp which is connected in the middle by the thin strip of LED. So overall, the BYD eMAX 7 does have some style and road presence on its side, unless it is absolute SUV styling and proportions that you're looking for. And what I mainly like about it is how premium and better it looks to the E6, even though both are similarly sized.
So we are in the cabin of the BYD eMAX 7 and the layout hasn't changed much compared to the E6, but you do get a larger infotainment display here. Now, like the E6, this also rotates so that it can go portrait or landscape. And it is quite a fast, snappy display. It comes with a lot of features, and most of the users inside the car actually are accessed by the display, including the ADAS, the aircon, and many other features such as lights, phone connectivity, etc. etc. Now here you get an analog instrument panel with a digital multi-information display in the middle. You get a storage space here. Now this part is actually a smartphone wireless charger. The gear stick here is quite nice compared to before. Earlier it was a dial, so now it is a nice chunky one to hold on to. You get buttons here for the drive mode, the region modes. You get 2 cup holders, a space to keep your smartphone. Otherwise, the layout and the colors more or less are the same, but you get these brown upholstered seats. These are powered for the driver as well as the co-passenger, and they come with ventilation as well. So this is the second row of the BYD eMAX 7. Now this is the 7-seater variant, so you get a bench seat, but the seats themselves are adjustable so that you can slide them back or recline them to a more comfortable position. Now the seating position is actually quite good. The seats are really comfy, but because of the presence of the battery under the floor, it is a bit knees up, so well, you can have to adjust your feet a bit forward for the perfect comfortable position. You get an armrest here with 2 cup holders. You also get your own dedicated climate control with your own AC vents here. Now the feeling of space is really good in this car, especially because of the panoramic glass roof up there. So this is the third row of the eMAX 7. And I must say that the space, while it is not brilliant, it is quite enough for short journeys or kids. Now, because again of the raised floor, you do still have an easier position here. Now this seat can still be moved forward a bit so that you have more space. Even then, the passenger in the second row will have enough leg room and headroom to deal with. Now here you get your own dedicated cup holder, your own seat belt, as well as your own aircon vent.
With all three rows deployed, the BYD eMAX 7 has 180 liters of space in the boot. But if you do fold the third row down, you get 580 liters of boot space, which is more than enough for luggage for an entire family.
So this is the BYD eMAX 7 Superior, which comes with a 204 bhp and 310 Newton meters electric motor mounted at the front. Now this can accelerate from 0 to 100 in 8.6 seconds, which is fairly fast for an MPV. But that isn't the best part about the powertrain. It is actually how the power is delivered as you press on the throttle. It is very linear, it is very ice-like, it is not the instant torque, some of which is there, but it's still very linear. It is easy for people who are changing from an ICE to an EV, as this does give you that feeling that even though it's an EV, it has been developed for people who can easily adapt to this powertrain. So this being the superior variant comes with a 71.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, which BYD claims gives it a range of about 530 kilometers on a single charge. Now we have been driving it all day from Chennai onwards toward Mahabalipuram, and we have covered over 150 kilometers, and still there is ample range. It shows 350 remaining. So I feel that BYD's claims are quite accurate, and you should be easily able to do more than 450, even touching 500 kilometers on a single charge in the car. Now when you're sitting inside the BYD eMAX 7 is when you realize where the actual money has been spent inside the car, which is the damping and the suspension and basically the comfort features of the car. It just glides over tarmac. Most of the undulations you're not going to feel. I have been trying to confuse the system by putting it into potholes and speed breakers at angles and speeds, and let me tell you, most of it does not even filter inside the cabin. The front maybe a little bit because the motor is placed at the front, so there is a bit of weight, but the rear, it is actually going over stuff and you're not even feeling it. There is no greater compliment for an MPV than that, and that is absolutely paramount. And against something like the Toyota Innova Hi-Cross, which is legendary when it comes to comfort, this might score marginally higher. Now the steering isn't the best in the eMAX 7. It lacks slight heft. It doesn't weigh up very nicely from the lower speeds to triple digit speeds. It lacks a bit of accuracy, so you cannot be very confident with it. But otherwise, it is comfortable. It is light enough during city driving, and I feel that it shouldn't be much of a problem for most driving conditions. Now the eMAX 7 also gets level 2 ADAS, which means that it comes with active cruise control, collision warning, collision braking, mitigation, and all of the other safety suites that you get as a part of the autonomous safety package. Now, one of the few complaints that I have with the eMAX 7 are related to the information display right in front of me here. Now, I am a fan of analog dials. I love them because of their 3D effect in a world where we are constantly getting new displays which do not look great. Now here, the analog dials do not have a very much 3D effect that you yearn from analog dials, so it does not look very great. Now the other part is that it does not respond very quickly to the throttle or braking response that you're giving to the car. So there is a lag sometimes when you accelerate hard or you brake hard. Now the other part of this is the multi-information display right in the middle of the IP, which is big enough, but due to the nature of this electric vehicle, a lot of info, including the drive modes, the speed, the battery, as well as ADAS and other information is displayed here, which makes it very cramped, so the icons and the logos are tiny and it is not the best bright or colored panel there. So that was our review of the BYD eMAX 7. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. As for the car, well, it is going to help BYD target a larger audience than it did with the E6, considering the 3 rows. Now, if you're looking for a 3-row vehicle in the country which is electric and has a focus on tech and comfort, you should look no further, because this is also the most affordable 3-row electric option in the country up until now. Now, as we compare it to the Toyota Innova Hi-Cross, I feel it is a bit unfair to do so, but it does serve as a very good electric alternative to the Toyota.